Well, hello there, and welcome to the REI Friends podcast. I am your host, Catherine Storing, and I just finished having the most amazing conversation with Jay. You're not gonna think I was like, my mind was blown while we were talking because I was trying to keep my cool, okay, if I'm honest. But his information, you're gonna find that it is so much about the mindset that it takes to get to be the person that you know you have been created to be. Oh my God, unbelievable. At the end of the show, he has an amazing blueprint that he's giving away for free to everyone that's listening. So you gotta make sure that you check the show notes, listen to the entire, or watch. I'm gonna suggest that this one you watch because there's something about the way Jay delivers the story and how he shares how he started with a 359 credit score. I didn't think that was possible. And I love how he was able to go from where he was, from nothing, to where he is today. Very, very impressive. He's probably my age, so it's even more impressive. So definitely listen, take some notes, head over to his website. The information is in the show notes so you can take advantage of that free blueprint. So how you can get started doing the thing that he's doing, I will tell you so you can listen. But go ahead and start listening or watching the interview. If you have any questions, make sure that you write to us. Let us know what was your favorite part of the interview, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed, because things are just getting better and better. So let's get right on the interview. Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the REI Friends podcast. My name is Catherine Storing, and today we have an amazing guest, and I'm going to let Jay introduce himself. Hey Jay, welcome to the show.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing great. It's so good to see you. Can you tell us a little bit about who you are?
So I've been in the real estate space for a little while now. I'm a father, 4 kids, 3 girls, 1 son, and that's probably why I have to be in real estate, because I've got 3 girls. And I've had the privilege of teaching and training individuals now for a while, as well as doing deals in cell phone towers, commercial retail, apartment spaces. Most people know me today for short-term rentals. That's what we've been doing and helping people with now for about 7 years or so. And that's been the major thing. It's all about cash flow as it relates to what I do and what I like to think about.
That is awesome. Well, congrats on all the girls. It's always good to have girls. I have 1 girl, and that's enough for me. So you have 3 and a boy. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
That is awesome. All right. So you've been doing this for a minute. Take us back, if you can remember, to the very beginning. Were you in the real estate space? Did you know anything about it? Like, how did you get started?
Sorry. I always laugh at this question because people, did you know anything? No. Well, I knew that people lived in houses. I don't know if that's what you're looking at. That's about what I knew. Because I tell people all the time, I didn't have I have a public high school diploma. When we first started, credit score was 398. I was squatting in bank-owned property. My wife at the time, she had a condition known as hyperemesis, so she couldn't eat or drink while pregnant. And at the end of the day, what it comes down to is we all have to decide how we're going to make a difference in the world. And what I learned by that point was, well, unless you were actually the go to school, get good grades, go to college type, you weren't really going to get very far. But more importantly, even those who did get that far were still left disappointed. And I knew I didn't like it. So real estate was not something that I was like, ooh, I'm going to wake up today and be great at real estate. It was, I need a way to eat. And I need a way to eat that can produce income if I can't contribute my labor, which is what most of us do. We contribute our labor. We get stuck contributing our labor because we never learn to build and develop assets. And that's been the secret that I didn't know was a secret, but that's been the secret, is to build and develop assets. And since I started doing that, I kept doing it. And it got to the point to where the assets were producing enough income to where my labor didn't matter anywhere near as much anymore. So it's like, oh, well, why didn't somebody tell me this?
Yeah, right.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. What'd you say?
No, I said that's amazing. Nobody ever told us that.
No, and well, we could say there's a conspiracy and all this other stuff, but at the end of the day, when you do learn it, now the onus is on you to practice it, and that's been the thing that I've been saying for quite a while. Is it's not that I learned something super unique that any other human can't do. It's just that I stuck with it in such a way that is probably not normal. I was focused on making sure that my efforts went into assets, not straight to income and spending that money, but building assets along the way. And that's what I still do today and teach people to do today.
That is so good. So real estate. So was that a book? Somebody told you about real estate? How, so you had limited time and resources. How do you hone
I
it
had no
into real
resources.
estate?
I had time. But that's which was the beginning. That's why it was ironic, because a friend knew that I didn't have any money, knew that I didn't have credit scores 3.9. He knew these things and still said you should become a real estate investor. So that didn't make sense to me at the time. What I now know is there are 4 ingredients to every deal. There's knowledge, time, money, and credit. You only need one of them. And that's the thing. I had time, so I learned to use my time to gain more knowledge. And the combination of knowledge and time is valuable to the person with money and credit. So, and that's what that's what I did. And I didn't know that, but that's what I learned along the way. The difference was most of the time when we are presented with an opportunity, the first thing that comes to us is what we're not. We think about what we don't have, who we're not, what we haven't been, how it didn't work last time. And before we've even started, we quit. And we don't get a chance to find out if this next thing could be different. And you know what? It might be the same, except you were different or should be different. And that's the biggest thing that I've learned through business, is that so long as I keep changing, then the business models, all these things can become more possible, because we do not out earn our personal growth.
That is so good. And I love what you said, that we go to what we are not and don't look at what we are. So you find yourself with lots of time. You don't have the resources. I love that you share your credit score at the time. So what was that first step? How you become a real estate investor?
So what turns out is that, so at the time I was squatting in bank-owned property. So what I was doing is I was buying inventory from garage sales and stores that were going out of business. So I would buy their inventory at a discount, because that's what you do when you go to a garage sale and going out of business. But what I was also doing is that I was looking up while I was at the garage sale, I would be looking up the price or what things sold for on eBay. So I would be able to see that this thing right here at your garage sale, you want $5, but eBay said 30. So I would buy it for $5. And then I'd go clean it up, take some pictures, and then go sell it for 30. What happened is that someone told me that what I was doing on eBay, I could also do those with houses. And I'm like, tell me more. And that's where I learned about wholesaling. That was my first strategy. So I would put houses under contract, and then I would sell those contracts quickly, usually within 72 hours, for anywhere between $2,000 to $26,000. And when we got good at that, we did well over 200 of those, and we just got really good at that. And then what happened is I learned that if you make a whole bunch of money, then the tax man wants some, which then made me learn about holding property, because I didn't like that. That was not a fun experience. So I don't ever wanted to do it. But then once I learned that if I keep the properties and it has other, attributes, I started just putting all of these things together. So my career, if you will, has been nothing but solving one problem after the next. First, it was income, then it was taxes, and then it became, how can I get more assets regardless of my own resources? So that meant learning to raise capital. Then it was all about being efficient, because who wants to do all that work for one single family house? So let's go to apartments. And then apartments started getting like, man, that's a lot of people. How can I make the same amount of money, but without so many people? And that's where commercial comes in. And then commercials, like maximizing square footage. So that's how I get to cell phone towers. And then So it's literally just a progression of
Yeah.
answering what's next in terms of the question, which is how I ended up with a whole bunch of assets and then wondering, how can I increase my income? Because you can put yourself in a situation to where, from a tax perspective, you have a lot of carry forwards and credits. And what you want to do is you want to balance that out. So I started looking for more active income, which is how I ended up in the short-term rental space.
That is so good. You were saying like your progression, and I could just see it. And the question that comes to mind is, how come every time, like that first time where you got those nice checks, and then the tax man comes, hey, I want my big chunk. You could have said, screw this, I'm gonna go get a 9 to 5, or this thing is not working for me. Like, what was the mindset that kept you thinking of what's next instead of this sucks?
Well, what happened is a couple of things. One, I got, what was it? It was oh man, it was one of the bird flu, swine flu. I ended up getting the swine flu, and what happened is I was able to still close transactions while recovering from home. And I'm like, ooh, I like the way that feels.
Yeah.
Right? So I became what I like to call psychologically unemployable.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, now that I had this taste of freedom, and when I say freedom, think choice, I could choose when to work, how hard to work, with whom I worked, where I worked, like what geographic area of either town or state. I liked that. And it created a situation that I didn't know was possible for me, but actually it's more probable now than it's ever been. And what's interesting is, once I like to, once I uncover something, I like to dive all the way into it. So because no one told me I couldn't, we ended up in a spot where we had about 400 doors real fast, or at least what felt like real fast. And there was really nothing I needed to do every day, because all I was trying to do, all I was thinking was, is I want to help people and reduce my taxes. And in the process of doing that, as completely as I knew how to do, we ended up with a lot of property. And I was like, oh, cool. I don't have to work today or tomorrow or the next day. and I'm like, well, since that's the case, let's stay there. Right. So it's one of those things where it wasn't like it was strategically planned. It's just, it is what happened though.
That is so good. That is so good. And it sounds like, I love the fact that you didn't know that the way you were doing it was not how everybody else was doing it, or that there were different ways. And that allow you to not quit. Because had you known that Guru A or Guru B does it this way or did it that way, you would have judged yourself and said, well, that didn't work out like they did it, so I must not be good at it. I'm gonna go back and do something else. So I love the fact that not knowing the quote unquote the right way really helped you.
Yes, that phrase, the right way. I hate when people ask that, because what is the right way? See, that's probably the biggest benefit I had now looking back, was that my credit score was 398, because it forced me to find how to do this using no banks. And still to this day, I've not closed a deal. I've still not closed a deal with a bank. So my point though is, because I was forced to do it, it put me in a situation where everyone ends up. So I don't care how good your credit score is right now, how much money you have, all this other stuff. At some point, you're going to run out of your own resources, and you're going to need to learn how to use the resources of other people. And I was given that gift immediately. So I had to find out how to do that from the beginning. So I was able to build a very nice portfolio without having to need a bank, which is interesting to say. That's not to say that you shouldn't learn to use credit as a resource, because I'm learning. And what's funny is that as of the time we're doing this, I'm actually learning how to use credit now. Like it's the funniest thing to me, because when I'm talking to a lender, on one hand, I sound like a brand new person. On the other hand, when they're like, P&L assets, and they want to see the the experience history and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
It's the it's the crazy thing. They're like, wait, you've never? No, I have not. So it's like there was just no need to provide the paperwork and the reports and
Yeah.
stuff because it's not been needed. And so now, as I'm learning to use credit, when I combine that with what we do know how to do today, from a cash flow standpoint, the future's looking pretty bright. But yeah, I didn't have a model. I just needed to eat. I wanted to make sure my kids ate. I wanted to make sure I ate. That's what I was thinking about. I wasn't thinking what's the right way. I was thinking, how do I get paid? What's the fastest path to cash? How do I feed my family? How do I look my kids in the eye and make sure that when they ask me what's to eat, I don't have to say nothing ever again, because that hurt a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, that's real. That is so real. And I love the fact how you did not, what happens to a lot of the rookies, a lot of people that want to become real estate investors is that they get overwhelmed by their big plan. Well, I want to have 300 doors and I want to have a yacht and I want to do the bird method and I want to do this. And it's like, they want to do so much that they don't start. And I love the fact that you're like, what am I doing today? Like the simple thing is I want to eat. That's simple, right? I want to eat. So you need a place to live. Let's start with that first one. Where am I going to live? And then not get overwhelmed by the plan, the 5-year or the 10-year plan.
Well, I've learned that now the 5 and 10-year plan, those are, I want to say useless, but I'm going to offend somebody, but they're used because so much changes in that short period of time. And if nothing, and if here's the worst thing that could happen, you could actually do a 5-year plan. And that's exactly what happens. Ooh, that is the worst, in my opinion, that could happen because it says certain things about you as a human. You're telling me you learned nothing. So you didn't discover something you didn't know, meaning something you couldn't have even put in the plan that is better than what you planned for. That seems strange to me because what my experience has been, every time I go after a thing, I learn a new thing about something else, right? I went after the commercial building and I learned about cell phone towers in the process going, wait a minute. And that's how I was able to do deals with hedge funds is because of cell phone towers. But I didn't understand what the hedge funds were doing and how that connected to someone else's 401k. I'm just like, oh my gosh. I had no idea. But then that opens up a whole new path of funding for deals and all kinds of things. Of course, when you do those long plans, you can get stuck thinking, not only this is what I want to achieve, but this is how I'm going to achieve it. Yeah. And then it can make you blind to what's actually available for you. So, yeah, I mean, right now I do 6 months, to be honest. 6 months is enough. We are working on getting some government contracts now. So they want us to do longer. So we'll do that, but it's for them. Yeah, okay. Yeah. But it's not anything like, yeah, this is what we're going to do and make happen. I'm doing that as part of the process. But in real terms, I know that in the next 6 months, whatever I'm going to learn based upon what I'm doing now is going to inform what I want to do in 6 months from now.
That is so good. Yeah. I love the fact that throughout your story, our conversation, it sounds like you have used all of the circumstances, the things, the hand that you were dealt, you have turned it into a positive. Have you always been that way? Or is it because you had no choice that you're like, I cannot die because I have kids, I have responsibilities? Like, where does that come from?
No, I have not always been that way, but it was the desperation of wanting to be an honorable man, a good father, a great husband to my wife at the time, wanting to fit what I saw and believed to be that men can be and should be for themselves and for the family and then for their community and the world at large. So it's what I wanted to be. And then I saw that was very threatened because I remember the day, because I remember when I was squatting in Banco property, realizing we can't pay stuff. I went to consult a bankruptcy attorney, but the only reason I didn't file bankruptcy is because I couldn't afford the filing fee. I didn't even have the money to file bankruptcy at the time. And that was like, wow, this is really bad, right? And then I called my family to see if I could raise the money to file bankruptcy. And they did. I was like, okay, we got to. And it was truly, if it's to be, it's up to me. The cavalry wasn't coming. And you better find something. And the answers are often outside of what I currently know. And because of that, I've learned to stay open and only take things one step at a time. Because once I get there, I'll see further. Go as far as I can see. And once I get there, I'll see further. And I don't know what I'm going to see once I get over the top of that hill. But whatever I do see, I want to take it in and see what's valuable for the version of me that is here, and give myself the opportunity to grow and change, because I there's no way I could have planned my way out of it. And I just had to go with the flow and be open. And that has continued to serve me quite well.
Absolutely. I love, love, love that. And I love the fact that somehow you were able to see that you in the future that you could be, that you are today, in a moment where there was not that much hope going around. So you held on to that vision. You said what you could be, what you knew a man could be. So it's like that carry you forward in moments where you said that even you or your family can even help you get to the next level. So you said, and I love what you said, the cavalry is not coming. So you became your own cavalry, which is awesome.
I had to become a completely different person. And I think that's the task in front of all of us, especially when you're starting something new or starting over, or starting, a new line of business or whatever, because the problem that you're facing was created at a certain level of thinking, and the answers are at a different level of thinking, which often requires a different perspective, different set of capabilities and skills that you haven't developed. And that version of you, the world hasn't seen, and you don't even know yet. And let me answer the question that everyone always asks: can you do it? The answer is no, you can't. The version of you that's here can't, because if it could, it already would have. You've got to be willing to become a new version of you. And sometimes that means, yes, adding more skills. But what I've learned, it means more about unlearning the habits that have kept you broke. That's where the difference is. And when you begin to shed the things that are holding you down, you find that you're much stronger than you believe.
Yeah, that is so, so, so true. So now you said that you've done so many iterations of real estate investing, and now you're in love, you said, with short-term rentals. So what gets you excited about short-term rentals?
So there's, knowing everything I know today, if I was starting over, short-term rentals is the only thing to think about, period.
Okay.
One, when it comes to the risk versus reward over time, meaning there are many strategies where it doesn't require a significant amount of capital, but they require a significant amount of time. I think short-term rentals is the perfect blend of the amount of dollars needed to risk versus the amount of how long it takes for you to realize a return, as well as the amount of time that it can take for that to happen. Because all of those things can happen, and they happen in such a way that you could do that in less than 30 days, easy, all the time. Second, one of the biggest things I think is a mistake when it comes to how we buy real estate, when you wouldn't, I mean, I hope not, no one would hand the keys to a Tesla to a 16-year-old boy and say, have at it, because that sounds like danger, right? Yeah. And you just wouldn't do that. But yet we do the equivalent when we go to buy real estate. Your experience is as low as it's ever going to be, but we want you to make a 15, 20, 30-year commitment with a mortgage on an asset that you have never managed. So you have no experience, but you're taking maximum risk. And I like the inverse of that. When we're working with short-term rentals, you get to use somebody else's property for a short period of time, and you get to gain all of the skills necessary to manage and maintain an asset over time, and you get paid in the process. So it is very common to get a short-term rental up in 7 days or less, and within the first 30 to 45 days, have an operational profit coming back that is already chipping away at whatever your original investment is. It is very common to get more than 100% cash on cash return within the first 12 months, maybe 18. That is very, very common. So that reduces the amount of risk that the person is taking, and it accelerates their experience. And then it changes who they are because they learn their customer service skills. They learn about SOPs. You learn so many things that are necessary for any business, because that's the number one thing most real estate investors forget. It's still a business. They want to do real estate so bad, they forgot all about marketing and sales and customer service, and wondering why they don't have any lenders or money or deals. It's because you forgot this other part over here. And short-term rentals encapsulates all of that. And probably one of the biggest pieces that most people don't realize is that the sales system is pre-built, because you can use marketing platforms like Airbnb and Booking.com, Flipkey, Wimdu, Travelocity. There's a lot. Anyway, my point is there are many ways to acquire that customer, and that's the thing people are afraid of. How do I know someone's coming? They're coming. Temporary housing is underserved in every zip code, period. They're coming, they're there. There's corporations and government contracts for this type of stuff. The world of short-term rentals is so huge that I can't even overstate it if I try. But it's because you don't know it, because you haven't seen it, or what you think of it as is some vacation rental in some sunny town. You think it doesn't apply to you. And that's one of the biggest mistakes that people are making right now, is that they don't understand that when a house floods or fire damage occurs, that family is being displaced. And guess what they need? Short-term rental.
Yeah.
And if they don't want to stay at a hotel, they stay at a short-term rental, hopefully ran by you or me or somebody. They stay somewhere, and the insurance company pays for that. So before you tell me it doesn't work in your area, you tell me that there's no house flooding or fire damage in your area. If you've ever had that, there's a need in your area. That's just one of 65 different use cases that we have found. 65. I mean, there's some crazy stuff that's available, but this is why short-term rentals, because I can get started so quickly, and I don't even need a great credit score again, because I'm using somebody else's property for a defined period of time in order to get myself back on my feet.
Oh my God, you have said so many things. I just know I can see people taking notes and excited. People that, for example, in my state, if you want to get a triplex, you got to spend upwards to almost $800,000. And even if you do an FHA, you got to come up with $32,000 just to come to the table, right? So, and that's before anything else. You haven't put any furniture, you haven't done anything else, right? So I love the fact that it sounds like you have developed a system, you have a system. How do you, and you said you help people. So is that the model that you're using right now, helping people to get quickly in short-term rentals? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what happened is I've had the privilege of building many things to 7 figures. And the short-term rentals was the fastest I built anything to 7 figures. And that was like, wow, what is this? And then I started telling and sharing that information with other people many years ago. And what I found is that, wow, this actually works for a lot of different people, because sometimes when it comes to apartment buildings, you got to be a little bit extra skilled in a certain way. Or when it comes to rehabs, you got to be extra skilled in a certain way, or raising capital, extra skilled in a certain way. What I found is, or even wholesaling, but short-term rentals is the most applicable across the widest demographic of people of anything I've ever had the privilege of instructing. We help people in 17 different countries now, which is kind of funny. Wow. And also, so it crosses borders, languages. I mean, it's great. And what's awesome about it is how impactful it can be from a financial standpoint without consuming so much time. Because once you have at one location, you're going to reuse that location month after month after month after month. And it's not uncommon to get $800 per bedroom per month. So on a one bedroom at $800, I mean, I'm talking net income, not gross, net income per bedroom is a thing. So that means a two bedroom is 16, three bedrooms, $2,400. So when you have when you have three bedrooms in operation and $2,400 net, that's starting to approach what some people would consider a significant portion of their salary.
Yeah.
But yet it doesn't take 160 hours in a month to deliver the service. And that's one of the biggest benefits, is that your income to time ratio is completely mismatched. So you can end up in a situation to where you have 5, 10, 20 or more units, and they're producing, $5,000 to $10,000 a day or more. And that's, I mean, and I know that sounds fantastical and whimsical, but we're doing this very regularly now. So it's just what's there.
Wow, that is amazing. So we're going to put your information in the show notes, but where can people go to learn more about what you guys are doing?
Well, it's easy. Just in fact, we give away an 8-hour training at no cost, 8 hours, and it'll teach you how to get your first one from top to bottom. You just go to cashflowdiary.com/blueprint. It is the exact same information that we are using and leveraging. It's the exact same scripts. We'll tell you what to say to the landlords, give you samples of what the documentation looks like, tell you even what TVs to buy, all kinds of things to make sure that you can operate, because we don't want to leave, as they say, no stone unturned. We just want you to have success, because here's what I know. We help you get one, you'll begin to realize that, wow, maybe I can have 10 of these. And then if you have 10 of them, you're in a situation to where you're doing the things you want to do. You're living closer to your values. You can finally be the friend, the brother, the sister, the husband, the leader, the community advocate that you've always wanted to be, and always felt like you had competing priorities, because in order to do this, I have to give, my family has to suffer. That's what I'm after. That's what I'm looking for. And this is a way that I have found to help people begin to become that through real estate. And then as you progress, you get to the point where you start owning them. Like right now, what I'm looking for and what we're preparing for is to buy hotels, because that's my next step, right? Like I keep saying, there's always a next step. It's to buy hotels. And, that's my next step. And maybe that's what you want to do too. But short-term rentals is the entry point to a whole big world that's really, really great.
That is so awesome. I think this is maybe the most helpful conversation that I have had in the podcast, because I feel that more people are going to be able to start and get started earlier and be able to figure it out, like you have, what is the thing they want to do. Because once you have enough money to cover your needs and the things that you want to buy, then you have choices, right? And then you can decide, okay, maybe I don't like this so much, I can move to the next thing, right?
Right. And more importantly, imagine a world where that's normalized and your kids think that way from the beginning, right? Because I think what I know now, yes, I wish I knew, when I left high school, that'd be great, but oh well. And my kids will, so their life is automatically going to be different, right? But it affects all of your relationships, because now what you have is time, period. And you don't even realize the quality of life. So it's not even about having, quote unquote, enough money. You could have the exact same money, but if you could do that exact same money you've got now, but only have to work 10 hours per month versus the 160, the quality of life shoots through the roof. You're way happier. You probably actually slept the full time you need to sleep finally. So, and those are the things that I'm talking about. Those are the things that get me excited. That is why I'm doing this. That is why we are focused on creating our next season of content for all of our subscribers and listeners. That's why I'm making sure that I can talk to as many people who are willing to listen, because you're going to be able to reach people that I would never be able to reach, who might have their marriage or relationship with their child saved simply because they now have more time. And that's something I get excited about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're doing it. I'm so excited. We're going to make sure to put all your information in the show notes, because I know there will be lots of questions, and I love the blueprint. Sounds amazing. I'll definitely be checking it out myself. And I just want to thank you for your time. I always ask the question, what will you do with the information that you have today if you knew it before? And I think you said that you would you'll do short-term rentals. Is that still your answer? You think you would?
Yes, that's what's funny. Every time I get that question, it's like, if you could do anything in the world, what would you do? I'm like, what I'm doing. That's what I would do. Because, and it's the truth. It's like, it's hard for me to, I can't imagine something that I would want to do that I'm not doing. And when I do, that becomes the next thing that I start pursuing. Like I said earlier, buying hotels, that's the next thing. Right. So what I'm doing is what I want to be doing. And I know that I feel very fortunate that I get to say that, mean it, and live it every day.
That is so good. I want to thank you so much for your time. I know that people will be excited to connect with you and learn more about you. I'm so excited for you. Congratulations with everything that you're doing. And I hope that everything goes well. And who knows what happens after hotels? Maybe you'll start buying planets. I don't know.
Yes. Well, I don't know. Pluto is not for sale anymore. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. Yes, that's funny.
Oh my God. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you. Guys, there you have it. I'm so excited for you to dig dive and get excited about short-term rentals. Check out in the show notes all the information about Jade's Blueprint. It is free. And you know what I say, if it's free, it's for me. Check it out for sure. Make sure that you're subscribed. And if you're listening, you have to head over to Spotify or YouTube so you can watch the interview, because I always feel you learn more when you're watching. That's just me. I don't know, but that's what I like. So make sure that you watch as well after listening. Let us know what your favorite part of the interview was. And as usual, please know that I love you and that I'm rooting for you. And I'm going to see you super duper. Bye.